This is how we saved 80% of our salary so we can become financially free at the age of 27. Hey guys, my name is Ariane and this is my better half, Chris. So we created this channel so good people like you can also have financial freedom with passive income through real estate investing.
Yep, so before we get started here, I want to make sure that we catch the word here. Salary. We use active income to buy passive income, and then we use passive income to improve our lives. And that difference there is very important, which we'll talk about the rest of the video.
It's important to talk about the elephant in the room, which is most people, when they hear about saving money, they like turn off the video. Well, I guess if that's you, you wouldn't be here anymore. But we're not trying to say that you need to live like a hermit forever and that's how you can be free. That is not freedom at all. We actually spend a lot of money. We drop lots of money on like trips for our whole family to go to Europe, which is why we're actually recording these videos in the same shirts, because we're about to leave on like a 6-week Europe trip with our families.
Yeah, so we actually see that a lot in other videos, like the whole FIRE movement. All of the success stories there seem to be someone who moved out into the middle of nowhere in a mobile home with a little bit of land, and they lived like a hermit, and that's how they got there. And that wasn't really what we wanted, and that's why all of this is very important, because that doesn't have to be the success story.
In the beginning, you do need money so that you can put that money and invest it. And then once you invest the money, it creates cash flow that you don't have to work for anymore. And then you can spend all the money you want if it's cash flow.
Yeah, okay? It's the no for now, not forever. It's the live today like no one else would, so you can live tomorrow like no one else could, depending on which quote you're quoting.
Right. We don't know a lot of people who retired at the age of 27 like we did. We don't know a lot of people who can afford to take their whole family up to Europe like we are, right? So if you want to be able to have that life, and we can do that without having to work, right? Like it's passive income that's paying for all of that. It's not active income. So if you want to have that life, then this is the path. So the first thing that we did is we looked at our potential expenses when we first got married, and we thought about, okay, how do we actually make our money go further so that we can invest and we can have financial freedom? And we had a choice in where we were going to live. We could either live where I lived in Auckland, New Zealand, or we could live where Chris lives, which was Gainesville, Florida. Well, when we compared the cost of living for those two areas, Gainesville, Florida was like 1/10 of like the cost of living for Auckland, New Zealand.
What a shock.
And we could actually make more money there. Like the salaries were better for both of our respective positions. I was a speech language pathologist. Chris was a software developer. We could make more money in Florida for some reason.
Yep, so our income relative to our cost of living was much higher in one of those locations than the other. And that happens like you don't have to go around the world to find that. That happens within our own country, right? The cost of living in California, let's say San Francisco, California, compared to the cost of living in Gainesville, Florida, is outrageously different. Like leaps and bounds different, and just moving from one to the other would jumpstart your financial freedom journey. And again, you don't have to stay there forever, just long enough to get the ball rolling. And then if you like California, San Francisco, move back when you're rich. It's great.
And you can still visit, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times you can visit like 5 times for the amount of money you save just in taxes.
Yeah. So now that we've picked where we're going to live, because it's much more beneficial for us to live in a low cost of living area in the beginning, we did. We moved there. We got a cheap apartment. I think our first rent was like $650 a month, something like that. But we got our first jobs, which a software developer, she was a speech therapist, reasonable salaries. But the big thing here is we worked really, really hard to improve those salaries as quickly as possible. So things you can do is you can get special certifications that might get you a pay raise, or you can ask your employer, hey, what's the biggest problem the company is facing right now? And then you don't ask them how to solve it. You go solve it yourself, because that makes you valuable. And when you're valuable, you get a promotion, you get raises, you become an asset. So the point here is to do a really, really good job and make sure that you're able to climb up that salary ladder as quickly as possible so that those days that you're spent grinding are efficient.
And then the next thing we did is something that is so hard to do. We avoided spending more money when we made more money.
This lifestyle creep concept.
Right. And I know, guys, it's really hard because all your friends on social media are posting their nice vacations and their nice new cars and their nice new houses. Mm-hmm. But guys, if you want to be financially free, you can't be a slave to the next new shiny object thing that you buy with active income. You can do that with passive income. Again, it's no for now, not forever. I really like this other phrase. We focus on what we want most not what we want now. And what we want most is financial freedom, the ability to do whatever we want, when we want, with whom we want, without having to work.
And I want to hit on this point again that we made in the beginning. It's not that you can't have those things. It's just the order that we get them, right? First, we buy cash flowing assets. Then we buy all the fun stuff with the income that those generate, right? That way we can have all these things without them setting us back, without them slowing us down, without them being full of guilt or whatever, right? We get those things that everybody else has now that they're struggling to maintain, where they're a slave to the next paycheck to maintain this status quo or to keep up with their neighbor. We get those things without any stress because all we did was we bought something else first.
So now we're going to talk about some practical ways we actually did this and how we were able to save 80% of our salary.
Yep, so this comes back to another one of those principles, the 80-20 rule, where 20% of your effort can generate 80% of the results. There's usually a few things in your world that really move the needle a lot, where, we're not looking to nickel and dime, let's not spend Starbucks once a week because we'll save $5 a week, whatever, insert random trivial savings in. It's move to a low cost of living area like we talked to, which moved the needle a lot.
Right.
We saved hundreds of dollars a month just by moving.
I think more than 1,000, right?
Right, just by moving locations. Additionally, like food, a lot of times this eating out thing is a huge expense in a lot of people's spending, where we can feast like kings at home.
So we are actually foodies. We actually love eating out. But for the first few years of our marriage, we agreed that, hey, we're gonna eat out only on special occasions. And it was actually better because we saved money and it was much more special when we ate out. Now we ate out a lot and it's actually a little bit less special now because we just do it whenever, right? But back then, like when we ate out, it was like, oh wow, like, there's this new thing. I actually love cooking, so we'll cook a lot. We made our own pizzas, we made our own dishes. We have like a really nice pepperoni lasagna that we love. So we can
You don't have to eat anything less. You don't have to sacrifice. You actually eat really, really well at home. The amount of cooking skills required are very minimal. You can feast like a king with very little technical ability. I promise.
The other thing we did too was we chose to have one car for a really long time because Chris was a software developer. He mainly worked from home and we really only needed one vehicle for stuff. So when I was working, I commuted and then I would pick up the stuff, the groceries, and then get it home. But we saved a lot of money. Like you guys know how much an extra car costs. Some of you spend $1,000 a month on an extra car. So that's an extra $1,000 we don't have to spend on the car payment, the insurance, all that kind of stuff.
And this is the needs versus want thing, right? Yes, it's convenient to have a second car. Even if one of you didn't work from home, you could still carpool and one person drops them off and you pick them up on the way home. Like that's a thing that can happen. It's separating the needs from the wants and realizing that if the longer we can deal with just the needs, the faster we escape and get all the wants.
Yeah. And it's no for now, not forever, right? Now we could buy as many cars as we want with passive income, literally cash.
More than we can drive.
But we don't, right? We still actually only have one car because we don't really care for cars that much. But if you want to be able to buy any car you want for cash,
that's achievable with passive income. And also, we always see all these highlight reels on Instagram and everything like that where people are doing these extravagant things. A lot of the things that are absolutely fun, incredibly fulfilling, are really cheap. It doesn't cost much to take your date out on a walk or through the park or to the beach or anything. Every place has something that's fun that you can do that's relatively cheap. You don't have to spend a lot of money to have a great time.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's actually more meaningful when you don't spend a lot of money, right? Because you have to plan it, you have to be thoughtful, you have to insert all these little sweet things everywhere, right? Whereas with money, like, oh, I'm just gonna buy this $1,000 dinner, right? You didn't really think very much of it. You just swiped your card.
The first several years of our marriage, we never went on anything extravagant like that. We just...
Oh yeah, that's a good point, right? So in the beginning, we also made a choice that we weren't going to spend $100,000 on our wedding.
Ah, yeah.
We spent a very small amount of money on our wedding. We pretty much eloped and invited people if they could come.
We're going to get married. You guys want to come? We'll be here.
Yeah, that's how it went. And instead, we used that money to start our lives together. Mm-hmm. And now we can buy for 10 weddings a year if we want to.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good point, right? So some weddings are really, really expensive. You can do a little wedding now, and then when you renew your vows, go big. Like, so after you've achieved the financial freedom, go do the dream wedding. Like, there's no reason you have to actually give up that wedding. Just renew your vows. It's awesome.
And we go back to that point, right? Life is all about choices, and it's not a choice forever, but for us, it was more important for us to not spend the 100 grand on the wedding. But that next year, we were able to spend $10,000-$15,000 flying our family from New Zealand to here so that they can actually meet all of the family. And
Go to
then
Disney World.
yeah, we went to Disney World, took them around the US, New York, and all the big stuff, and that was a lot of fun. And that was more meaningful to us than having a big wedding.
All right, so now we're working really hard to get raises, improve our income and our day job. We're doing the best we can to reduce our expenses to the bare minimum we can get to where we're comfortable. We're not really sacrificing everything, but we're not extravagant either, right? So that created the gap. That gap started to accumulate cash. What do we do with that cash? Every dollar we saved or every dollar we earned, we started to invest in one of two things. We either invested in our education so that we could improve our salaries more, those extra certificates, those extra courses, whatever it took to get us to the next level on income increasing, or we invested in cash flowing assets, things that generate cash not just now, but again and again and again and again without us having to be involved.
And if you want to know how that actually went, we have a whole series of how we retired at the age of 27 and how we got to that passive income number that we needed to for both of us to never have to work ever again. We'll link to that in the description below and up here. Make sure to check that out. There's a lot of lessons there. So there you have it. This is how we saved 80% of our salary. And remember, it's no for now, not forever. We're not saying you should live like a hermit and never do anything fun. We're saying that if you just do this for a little while, you can do whatever you want for the rest of your life. All right, guys. Well, hopefully you found that useful. Please click that like button and the subscribe button so you can see our next videos when they come up. We also have a free Facebook group called Faster Financial Freedom, so you can network with other people who are on the path to financial freedom, and we're going to be there too, so ask your questions there. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.